Happy Diwali.
Happy
Happy
Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali to everyone who's watching as well. We are now on the last episode, that's episode 5 in this series, wherein we are talking about toxic friendships versus healthy friendships. And we just have our last question for this series that we are going to talk about today. So, the question is, oh, by the way, hi Edel, hi Jharna. Let people who don't know, and happy Diwali again. So,
As an aside, this is exactly what's going to happen to us once Oprah comes into the picture, Jharna. We'll just be this forgotten footnote. Let's just be aware of that. Okay, go ahead.
amen. So, um, okay, so the question is, how have we evolved as a friend in being in each other's company? And a second part of the question is, how do we see ourselves as a friend, maybe 5 years from now? So, going to start with Jarna. How have you evolved as a friend being in Adele's and my company?
This question, so 5 years, we've been friends for a really long time, Edel and I. You and I have been friends for, say, a year now, like sort of trying to, more than what we knew each other before. And with Edel, I've noticed that um, I'm learning better to communicate about how I feel because I wasn't very good at it. And even now, there are times that I don't say what I want to say, and it takes me a little bit longer to get something out, but not as much time as it used to take before. So now I'm able to look at situations where I would really think twice before giving my opinion about something, if it affected me in any way, not giving my opinion for no reason at all. Um, Earlier, I think it used to take me months, sometimes years, and then it usually used to happen with a sense of resentment and feeling victimized that I had to go through stuff. But now it's come down to a few weeks. Hopefully, it'll come down to a few days and then a few hours in future. So that is one thing. And second thing is I feel a lot braver and calmer even when the situation is just topside down. Braver in the sense, of course, I'm scared to deal with a lot of things, but I know I have no way around it because I'd rather deal with it now than later when the signs are just exploding around me saying you have to get your act together, otherwise, you are going to keep seeing more and more problems in the future. So that is something, yes, that is also something I've learned or I am learning in the process because the last few weeks there have been so many signs that I haven't listened to, and then I just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger until I realized, okay, there's no way to run from this. So I think also when there is more resistance, I've noticed that you don't want to really work on issues when you feel like, oh my God, I really wish this weren't happening my way. And then when you resist harder, the signs just keep getting louder, right? So yeah, so I think in terms of time of addressing an issue has come down from years to months to weeks to nowadays. So hopefully it won't take as much time in future. I'm hoping. But then again, I'm hoping like it's some external entity that will come and do my work for me. So
Well,
hope I
because
will.
you deserve better, no, Jarna? You deserve better than to stay in that stew of resentment. Imagine all the poisoning that's happening to your psyche. You deserve far better than that. And for that reason, it would be good for you to address whatever issue comes up straight away because you deserve far better than that. Yeah.
And, another thing is, I'm able to stay a lot calmer in situations that I didn't used to before because I feel anxious at the drop of a hat when things don't go according to plan. But now I'm trying to understand why I feel that way. More than understand, I think I'm just willing to be okay to feel anxious for a little while and then work through it because there's really no way out. If something doesn't happen your way, you need to figure out a way to be okay with wherever you are so you don't completely lose your senses and you don't act out instead of just being and understanding what is going on. So that is something that I feel has happened for me because we've been friends for so long. And with Abhi, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is just do what feels right for you. It may not please other people, but you really need to do what needs to be done for you, for yourself, and enjoying the good things in life, not feeling bad about going out for a movie or many movies in my case. Go um, so this is something that I'm learning because earlier I feel so guilty about spending time with myself where I was doing activities and I'd go out and I'd like if I wanted to shop for something, I'd be like, okay, like I don't feel like I deserve to buy this for myself. And now I feel like, yes, I want to do these things for myself. It doesn't matter because I'm enjoying it and I enjoy how I feel in that process. So that is, I think, by far the biggest lesson that I've learned from Abhi. And I'm grateful for both of you for the things that I've learned about myself just by having you guys in my company.
And how do you see evolving as a friend in 5 years from now?
Can I
What's that?
Okay, we can come to that later. Maybe it's just like a snippet
about
on
it? Not a
uh,
question to answer, right?
Yeah.
okay, we can come back to that. So, what about you, Edel? Like, what? How have you evolved because of our company?
Um, I've learned to plan my life in a very strategic way from Jharna. And instead of being haphazard and instead of trusting fate and just the rush of adrenaline to get the job done, um, I've learned that from Jharna, and keeping and being accountable is something that she's quite good at, which I wasn't very good at before. Um, Making sure that everybody's informed, so nobody's left guessing in her life. You kind of know for the events that she's planned. If she's planned to meet me, she lets me know if she's 20 minutes late, 15 minutes late, which I would do to another person. And I've been watching it for very many years, and it's not a put on act, it's like a genuine character trait. And I absolutely adore that character trait because, number one, it makes me feel special that she's taking the time to let me know that she's going to be 20 minutes late. And so I know 20 minutes she's going to appear in the coffee shop or the restaurant or the movie place, And I used to leave people guessing because I was not accountable for if I was running late or if I decided not to show up. And I learned this character from Jharna, and for which I'm truly grateful because it's made my life so much richer and it's made me a better person. So thank you so much, Jharna, for that, for always being accountable and for being a solid person and having that in your heart. And because it's a learned trait for me, and I see how keeping my mother informed, keeping my relatives informed, keeping my friends informed, and if you love somebody, you don't keep them guessing. I learned that lesson from Jharna, and now it's becoming. I can feel it integrating into me. And I learned that from you. So thank you so much. And Abhi, I learned about. I'd only been exposed to toxic masculinity. I'd never been exposed to positive masculinity, a masculine trait that pours into me rather than strips me of my energy and uses me as a battery to power themselves. Still so far in my life, and especially I think all women who grow up in a patriarchal society, we see ourselves as only as important, as useful as we are. And Abhi was the first person who entered into my life and showed me that I'm important simply because he wasn't stripping me of my energy and using it for himself, which is the only type of masculine trait that I had been used to. And it's the only type of energy that I could recognize. So the very fact that you even came into my life is so surprising. And like you said, Jharna, just a little bit ago, you said sometimes we always look for an outside, for the universe to do the job that we need to do. I think our universe is quite benevolent. Sometimes the universe just does good things for us when we are determined to walk into good things, right? So Abhi came into my life rather weirdly, and we almost lost our friendship 6 months down the line, and then we've been best friends ever since. And I have to say that, and along the way, I made a few mistakes, and now, by contrast, I would always think and see, this isn't how Abhi would make me feel. Abhi would pour into me. Abhi takes care of me when I come to, when I'm with him. And this person is using me as a source of energy and draining from me, or using me as some sort of an animal into society, maybe. So every time I feel a bit harvested, I back out immediately. Whereas, and so that lesson was a bit uncomfortable to learn, but I'm so incredibly grateful for just learning it from you. So thank you. Thank you to the both of you.
Thank you so much. That was very touching. And,
Also, I feel because you're able to gauge how you feel in Abhi's company and in other people's company. I mean, I feel the same way as well with Abhi. Like I feel so nice. I feel like my space is not getting crowded at all because like Abhi, you do your own thing, but you also let me do my own thing. There's no judgment, and I mean, now that you mention it, I'm able to sort of gauge what I feel like in other people's company. It helps you understand who you want in your life and who you can't spend too much time with. Makes it
Yes.
very easy.
Yes. And it's almost like a tiny little island of non-patriarchy when Abhi is there, and I feel protected, I feel provided for, but I don't feel hedged in. I don't feel like I'm somehow somebody's possession and I'm not allowed outside on my own, or I don't feel like that. I always feel some kind of a catch in most of the men, if not all, men's company till so far, and that's I think that's the result of the patriarchy. And I think this is just for you and me, Jharna. We need to soak this in and understand this and make it part of our DNA because um, when our partners arrive, we don't want to propagate that kind of patriarchy in our own lives in future, right? So this is the kind of masculinity we need to surround ourselves with. So that's a wonderful environment you provide, Abhi, for the ladies.
thank you for talking about all my good things. I'm sure everybody is listening. So,
Behind your back, but right in front of your face.
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. So you
What
want
about
to?
you?
Okay. All right. So, Adele, I've known you now for so many years. Um, I think I met you because I think I was in such a state at that time. I think it was just my universe just it was my soul was calling out for something, like, because I was not at all myself. I had all these bunch of people around me who never, for some reason, I was so stifled. I was so I felt so compressed, like, my soul wasn't there. It was just trapped somewhere, and I used to always think, is there somebody out there with whom I can just tell what I have to tell? And I think that's how you we became friends. And so I think that the point of being friends with you, Adele, is at that time is when I realized to stand up for my own self. Till that time, I just wasn't doing it. I was a supporting cast in my own life, third wheel everywhere, and I was always talking about others. I like everybody else will be the hero if I have to narrate or talk, and I will not be there. So if people would be wondering, whom am I talking? But I'm not talking about myself at all, right? And that's what I learned. That's the biggest lesson I have learned in our friendship over so many years, to stand up for your own self, to be the hero of your own life. Never be a supporting cast in your movie. You're the main lead. But to say it, these things, to say it is so easy. Oh, don't be supporting cast, be the main lead. Put it into practicality. It's the consistent observation, the consistent behavior which I have seen over so many years, and then I'm able to, the words, the conversation, the talking, the actions, and then I have started to integrate it. And now I think, yeah, over the past couple of years at least, I think I stopped accepting the role of being the supporting actor. So
Yes.
yeah, and so thank you, Edel. It's been so many years. You have been consistent about it, and that's why I could pick it up. I saw you doing that consistently, and and another thing is about another thing that I've learned is just uh, speaking your truth. You're very truthful, and truth can may not be pleasant all the time, but needless, you have to say the truth when it needs to be said. And I'm still learning that. I'm it's not at all in my comfort zone. I can tell the truth just like that about myself, but if there is an issue and I need to confront somebody, or if I need to tell somebody about that person or the situation, it's still a very sticky wicket for me. So I'm learning this from you. I've not learnt it, but learning. After so many years, also, it's still quite a struggle for me to do this, but I want to do this. And I know you provide the learning for me. So thank you for that. Jarna,
Well,
I've known, Jarna, I've known you, we have known each other for a short duration, but I have known you from, I think, longer than that, because of what Adele has always told me about you. So, yeah, behind your back.
I think from the time you and Edel have been friends, it's like Edel's in the middle, and then she's telling me stuff about you, and then she's telling you stuff about me. So when we met, we were strangers. We kind of knew each other.
Exactly, yeah. So, the one thing that I have uh, loved, the lesson that I've taken from you is the 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 clear insight that you have into yourself, about yourself, the pearls of wisdom that you sometimes drop about the truth about your own self, and you have no qualms about saying it aloud and accepting it, and if needed, doing the corrective measures, whatever needs to be done. Oh my God, I don't know whether I have it or not, but I'm trying to get that, and I just like that that brilliant insight that you have about your life, your actions, everything. Just now that you were telling that you were just telling a couple of days back also, I think, on the chat that I've been tolerating a lot of bullshit in my life, and that like the penny dropped for me also at that time. Whether I have been tolerating bullshit or not, and it seemed like yes, lot of bullshit I feel,
And sometimes it's almost like there's so much bullshit happening, you don't realize it's happening
it's
until you actually you're like, oh, okay.
it's funny that I have, or maybe you have, we all have, I don't know, so much of this bullshit we are sort of integrated as it being normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that when you said it, and so I'm trying to take a look at all that. But that's the thing that you bring, and I think your diligence about doing something. If a task is assigned, that I I think I and Edel, I think we can agree on that it will be done to the T. It will be done, or if you're not doing it, you will tell us it is not being done. And that's another thing that I've learned to just do it, and it feels good. It feels good. The others who are around you when you are doing the task, and you keep updating them about it, it just feels so good actually. Even this Pondicherry trip where we all took, and you were telling us about the Club Mahindra, and all the bookings and everything. It just felt so good.
And it was done 3 months in advance.
Yes.
And nothing was left to the last minute. Nothing was there was no human error there, except when your flights, and that was way beyond our control. But outside of that, everything was sorted. I that standard is pretty high in our lives now, right?
Yes.
And all short of that standard. And I used to always wonder, I used to surround people who seemed glamorous because they are spontaneous and therefore they are cool. And the planning was pathetic, and because I don't have the capacity to plan or the desire to plan or do things properly in such a way, because I'm always double guessing myself, I followed the spontaneous crowd. Oh my God, my adrenal glands must have had such a workout all my life. My adrenal glands thank the both of you. I am so grateful. Yeah.
So,
Always followed the spontaneous crowd. I tried doing that for the longest time. And I realized I can't be spontaneous. I
oh
just can't.
my God, never. I
And
used to. Yes,
you people would be like, oh, let's be spontaneous. I would think I'm not the cool one because I wasn't spontaneous. And then when I'd end up there, I'd be jittery. So what is the point of doing that?
Yes, but
yeah.
spontaneity extremely is a kind of veiled cruelty. It's a kind of a power play sometimes. And I think we shouldn't get bamboozled by Hollywood or movies where the spontaneous, ill-trained, fly off the handle kind of person is the hero or the heroine. That's not good for any of us.
Spontaneous is that the other person is having right now the time, so he thinks, okay, what now I have the time, let me think what I can do. So probably your name is first on the list, or second or third, because the first and second person have cancelled, and then he tries being spontaneous with you, and he or she being spontaneous with any of us. And also at that time they expect that we are probably jobless, and
Yes.
we drop everything at their call, and just because somebody is spontaneous right now, what the fuck is that? And the fact that you never had, um, we were, if I'm important, you would make the plan. You would make the plan to meet and prepare, and that's it. What is the spontaneous thing? I was also a part of this, and I used to always wonder, why am I so anxious?
Yeah.
Is spontaneity supposed to be all, oh my god, so great and so nice? Nothing I felt ever.
You just come back being so exhausted and drained. You don't feel filled and fulfilled. It's no way, never again, never again.
Never, never. And I used to leave my whatever work I was doing and run across, and so much anxiety because I left something that I was doing halfway, and I'm running across halfway doing something else when my mind is stuck at the first job that I was doing. It's just not worth it at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So let's quickly then answer this question. I'm going to go to Edel so that Jharna can listen and copy the answer. So,
Right.
so how do you see yourself, Edel, from 5 years now? From now, how do you see yourself to be evolved as a friend? 3 years, 5 years from now, whatever.
I I think the quality of my friendships improved as and when I became good friends with different parts of my ego and integrated lots of parts of me that were in the shadow that I was ashamed of. So I see myself as more earthed, more grounded because I am not in an imagined place of who I am. And that's where, for the viewers, we just started a new exercise of setting weekly goals and achieving them. And the three of us are going to learn about that slowly. And as the both of you know, and we have a WhatsApp group where we're chatting all the time. Anyway, so I see myself knowing myself completely, knowing my ability. Because right now, as you would have clearly seen, the goals that we set last week, the goal was to read one book, right? And the goal was to do two paintings. But what I landed up doing was got caught up in the beginning starting book of a trilogy, which I didn't know when I started. And my OCD kicked in, and I had to read the three books. So I started reading my three books, which I did, and my painting suffered. My second painting suffered as a result of. Um, and also, I have certain rituals that I've started doing early in the morning. I wake up in the morning and do a set of habits that I want to develop. Um, this is also greatly inspired by Robin Sharma's The 5 a.m. Club, right? So get up at 5 a.m. and I spend almost 3 hours pouring energy into me, doing activities that pour energy into me. And I've noticed that once I set a goal, like last week, I just get this is a manic excitement, and it's about reaching the goal at the cost of brushing my teeth even. Now, I hadn't even brushed my teeth in 3 days because I was so caught up in the goal. Look how chopped up he looks. I wasn't eating properly. And okay, there were firecrackers because it's Diwali and I couldn't walk the dogs. And I thought in my head, I'm thinking, yes, I don't have to walk the dogs. I can finish reading this book. I can finish the painting. Oh my God. And I understand how imbalanced it is. And now that today we're going to set goals for till Sunday, I am so exhausted because I'm waking up and I'm like, and I'm exhausting myself with goals, and I don't want to do this. In future, the primary importance would be to feed energy into me, to make myself richer. Whatever profit I have, to invest it back into my own company. And from there, what I spend will be my goal. And I will always, and I've noticed that this is because this is the same thing that is reflected in my finances as well. This is the same thing that's reflected in when my friends come over to visit. My entire day goes into concentrating on my friends, and everything else goes pear shaped. And it subconsciously keeps giving me the information that I am not important. What I do is important. And it's not me that matters, but my product that matters. And this is rewiring that I'm going to do. So in 5 years from now, not only will I feel so safe and so flourishing in my own company, that everyone that comes into my presence will feel the same thing. Because we only make people feel as big or as small as we think we are. So I will be a restful, energizing company for my friends, and I will be keeping realistic goals. I will be grounded, which is something that I've never ever aimed for. I always thought I should just float away somewhere with my imagination and my emotions. And the grounding thing I've learned from the both of you. Realistic goal setting is from Abhi, and Jharna has taught me how just grounding. And when we were setting our goals, I was setting like 5 goals, and Abhi set like 4, and Jharna set 2. And that's so realistic. And we need to do those, right? And we shouldn't exhaust ourselves in the goal setting should expand us and make us feel happier. So in 5 years' time, I'll be a real person, a recognizable person because I'm grounded and I'm owning myself and my capacity and my capabilities. And I also have this dream of all of us having our own partners and our own families and holidaying together. And of course, then we ditch our families and have our own holidays as well. So 2 holidays per week, one per year. One holiday with the families and the other holiday just by ourselves. We can get into all kinds of nefarious trouble. I hope to have obviously read more books, done more work with myself, be more forgiving, be more allowing, be more expanded, be more loving mostly. I just want to be more and more and more loving. And in 5 years' time, I want to be the most forgiving, gentle, loving person. What about you, Jana? Or are we going to you, Avi?
You stole
Jharna?
right out of my mouth.
Tired? I'm getting so tired of this. I go first or second, I'm stealing people's answers.
But see, your answer was like an essay answer. Normally, something I'm very good at because I can write and write and write. But I think when it comes to talking, I can't really talk all that much. So for me, I feel like I'm in my life where I feel there is some sort of expansion that's going to happen soon because I am in a state of a lot of resistance right now. And I know whatever comes from this is going to be, it's going to be like a huge lesson for me to learn. I don't know what that lesson is. So I'm hoping that this will teach me not to tolerate my own bullshit and just once like I get one sign saying that something needs to change in your life, I change it immediately instead of waiting for 3 weeks to make that change. And hopefully that will keep me in a state of flow where I don't fight with myself because not listening to what I actually need to do is very abusive.
Yes.
And I'd like to be someone that actually cares for myself. Um, because, like everything else, your entire life is a mirror. If you don't do that for yourself, you're going to start seeing signs outside that reflect exactly how you feel. So I'm going to be a better person towards myself. I want to learn to enjoy my own company um, more, and being grounded. I mean, it's not something that I want. Like I don't feel like I need to work too hard at being grounded. But sometimes my goal setting, like I was mentioning last week when we were texting on the chat, I can set amazing goals and then never follow through it, and then feel really crappy about myself. So I need to understand how to set a goal in increments where I know that this is how much I'm able to do, and this is how much I'm going to do. Because I've noticed that I take a little longer in terms of doing things. So I need to take that much time instead of trying to compete with someone else. Where, like, for me, I've seen with Edel, you're able to do a lot of things in a short amount of time because your pace is just naturally faster. But in my head, somehow I have to be that person instead of being who I am. So I want to be able to respect myself better and set goals for myself that I can actually do and not feel guilty about doing only what I can do. Because there's a reason why I'm the way I am, and fighting against that is not really getting me anywhere. So hopefully that will translate into my relationships as well, where I am able to tell people that this is how much I'm able to do, this is how I feel, and not feel guilty about just being there for myself. Also, I would like us to go on holidays and the and the trouble talking about, right? So much trouble we get into, we'll be making more videos for Oprah. I don't think we'll do anything else.
Yeah. Right.
Once Pennywise the clown. So and another thing is I've realized very recently, I don't know for what reason, this was brand new information. For the first time, I want to not understand my emotions. I just want to be there with them. Because earlier I was always trying to intellectualize everything I felt. And that takes you away from the actual being in that moment and just letting it happen. So many times when I have conversations with people, sometimes when they're saying, I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling like that, I'm already thinking about how I'm feeling based on what you feel. So that will show through when you have relationships and friendships, right? Because it will immediately show you that you're not with them. And I want to be there for the people that I care about. So the minute I stop intellectualizing my feelings and stop understanding why I'm feeling a certain way, I think it will make me a little bit better um, company for someone else that I want to be there for. So, yes, so 5 years down the line, I would like to see all of this actually come to fruition and also have a set routine because I don't have to think about certain things that just need to be done. So, once those things are done, it's like I shouldn't be thinking so much about, "Oh, how do I wash my clothes today?" I mean, what? So, I would like to have some routine set in place and just forget about it because it's just like brushing my teeth or wearing my specs. And then it's just done and dusted for the day. So these are few things that I would like to see for myself in the future. And the goal setting, Edel, you came up with the idea. I think it's really good because it's made me a little bit more accountable to even the small goals that I'm setting. Otherwise, I'll just be like, la la la, I don't care. So it might be
So
exactly.
comfortable, isn't it? The goal setting, and it's. I thought it's a good idea because I get so excited about every new year, and I make resolutions, and nobody around me is excited, and I only one is like, oh my God, New Year's resolution, and everybody's like, okay. So now I think if we practice leading up to 2020, we can plan on setting a year goal, breaking it down into half yearly targets, breaking it down into 3 month targets, and then monthly targets, weekly targets, and we can achieve them slowly and steadily. And at the end of the year, we would have gone farther in the world, but closer to ourselves. And that is my goal for the three of us. So we know ourselves so much and we are accountable to each other. And how we learn from each other is very, very important. So well done, Jharna. Yeah.
So, but goal setting also gives me anxiety because I've never done that.
Mm.
And it's something I have to address as well. Because when we were talking about goal setting last week, there was a part of me that was like, oh shit, now I actually have to do the work. And there was a part of me that was thinking, if I don't do it, I'm going to feel guilty because I'm accountable to other people. And I want to be in a space where I want to work towards my goal, but not feel guilty about actually not doing things. It's like, I want this amazing thing to happen, but I don't want to do any of the work and it just has to manifest.
Yes. And
So
this is
I
what we
have,
do, right? Yeah, we want a particular job, but I don't want to go for the interview. I don't want to write my resume. I'm a good person. The job will just land on my lap. It does not happen like that. Our life will never happen like that. And personally, just for myself, I don't want a life that happens like that. I want to be the person that manifests everything. I want to be the center of the creation of my life. I want to create my friendships and the depths of my relationships. I want to be in the middle of my relationship with my relatives. I want to be in the middle of the richness of my life and my finances and my job, my pets, my travel, my loves. I want that for me. And I can't do that if I'm going to say, oh, I'm really good at my job and I dress really well. So some person is just going to come and fall in love with me. That's not going to happen, right? So I need to, and we all have dreams in our life. Oh, I'm studying all this, and then suddenly I'm just going to land up with this amazing medical contract, and I'm just going to float away into this professional space, and money is just going to tear the roof and fall on me. No, everything I want to create, and that is a wonderful responsibility and it's good. And this anxiety that you feel is good, Jharna. It's good, Abhi. It's good for me as well. The other type of anxieties, and because we are surrounding ourselves with good anxiety that is going to expand us, we will have zero tolerance for bullshit anxiety that other people bring into our lives. And that's a good fence to have around us as well. I'm already putting myself in an uncomfortable space of my own personal expansion. Another person that brings an inhalation, a sense of constriction and excitement into us, we will naturally repel them from our life. So it's a kind of a protection as well when we are goal-oriented people. And we'll only attract people who are going to accelerate our goal towards the way we are going and not regress us into their paths. And this will also teach us to put ourselves as the most important person in our life. And another person and the people that come into our lives, we'll only tolerate other people who put themselves as first. And if our goals are common, are in the same direction, they'll be in our lives. And our speed will become doubled as a result of. Just talkers and people who pull us up away and take energy from our self battery will be normally repelled. So that's a very good fence and protection to have. We have our goal. So let's just develop that as a group. And I feel very safe and protected and non-judged by the two of you in that group because we are constantly trying to evolve together. And it also teaches me tolerance. It teaches me biodiversity because how you approach your goals, Jharna, and how you approach your goals are being so different. And it keeps me humble, like you're not the beeswax, because so it taught me a lot just this week, and I love what I learned. So this week is going to be amazing as well. Yes. What about you, Abhi? What are you going to be 5 years from now?
Well, for me, I think it's just one thing that I think I will be more forgiving.
Mm.
I think that would only happen as I would forgive myself, and I can be more forgiving about others and uh, friendships. And I think that's something that I look forward to in 5 years. Um, being more forgiving, being more, yeah, being just, I think, yeah, just forgiving. I think that's what I would want. And of course, to have opera in one of the squares 5 years from now. It's a goal.
Uh, yeah. You know what? I actually am on board, and I'm beginning to believe that it's going to happen. And just a couple of days ago, I was driving somewhere, and I'm thinking, when Oprah, it wasn't even if. I'm thinking when Oprah comes into our life, this is how we. And I'm like, stop just now. What is happening? You bamboozled us into being part of your dream. Now I'll be like, oh, I'm all on board. Yes, when Oprah is part of your squares on Skype. Yes.
Right. So that's what I feel. And yes, I think being better with the boundaries, which we all are trying to understand and establish and be protective about. Also, yes, this I feel. I think I just like it so much. I think 5 years from now, I would have liked that we all have traveled together as a group to places, and because I think that like the Pondicherry trip was so nice. So just to have that energy feeding off from that would be very nice. I think so.
And
Yeah.
even though we're in constant contact on WhatsApp, when we meet together in people, it's
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 just
so
Yeah.
explosive, right? Like explosive,
yes.
nice, predictable way, not unpredictable, and we don't know what's happening.
It's a predictable explosion and a controlled one.
That
Yes.
predictable explosion that all of us can handle.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, on that note, on this occasion of Diwali, we end this series on friendships. Yay! And from I think from the next time we'll have some more interesting topics to talk about. And stay tuned, everybody. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Bye bye. Thank you for your time,
Happy,
Edel and Jharna.
happy Jharna.
Happy
Thank
Diwali,
you.
guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys,
Bye.
bye.